Hello everyone. Here we are on our first Friday in July, and I don't know if you noticed, but we actually have 5 Fridays in July, which means we're going to have 5 live workshops. Well, 3 of them kind of live, sort of live, right? So we have Leah over here. She's going to be helping with questions. So Leah, go for it.
Hi everyone.
The other
Happy
Leah.
Friday. Yes, Leah Avery here. Say hi in the chat. I know many of you already are. Seems like it's hot in most places, at least in America. Hope you're staying cool. Say hi. Tell us where you're joining from. If this is your first time crafting with us, we would love to know. And feel free to add any questions or comments in the chat throughout the workshop. We'll be happy to help. And if you are watching the replay, put any questions in the comments and we will answer them there.
Mm-hmm. So for anyone who's new, if you can put your question and then Leah will ask me and then I can answer in real time. All right, so today I decided that, I'm going to be doing a foliage series, and this is one of them because we want to fill up our foliage for arranging, of course. And I thought this was a great one to do because it is gorgeous by itself. Like, you can make a plant. We already have a couple plants on our website using this ivy. This is a little bit different. I've updated the template just a little bit. It's still a beginner template and anyone can make this. But also there seems to be a trend right now in using ivy, on bookshelves and kind of, maybe slightly goth or slightly cottagecore. So it kind of goes across different directions of how you could use this ivy. And of course, I'll be using it in arrangements. I think it'd make a gorgeous kind of hanging piece out of a bridal bouquet. And if any of you have ivy in your yard, you know how invasive they are. This one is not invasive, I promise you. So, all right, we're gonna make it. All right, we are going to be using 2 crepe papers. We have the double-sided Ferns and Moss, not green tea and cypress, Ferns and Moss, and then I'll be using just the espresso to wrap my stems. I'll be using the 24 gauge wire, and to color we are going to add a bit more of the bright green with our blue-green shade. And I know there's a different color that we sell that's very similar. Can you remember what it is? That one will work as well. So they both have a bit more of that brighter blue color. We'll be using the Precision, Barely Art Precision Craft Glue, of course, and today we will be Mod Podging our leaves. So that's a lot of fun. And then for tools, we have our scissors, detail scissors. Of course, you can use a cutting machine, which I did. I'll be using this scoring stylus for all of the vein lines on the leaves. I have a paintbrush for the Mod Podge, blending brush for the pen pastel, wire cutters, the curling tool, and if you want to, this is an option, you can use a brayer tool of any kind to help kind of press in the center join of your leaves over the wire. This is something we just love to use this. It makes it a lot easier. All right. I also have my template here, and this is really important when you're cutting these leaves out. Really watch those grain lines because we want to have our leaves come into more of a V shape. So if you cut them straight on this edge, you will just have a straight line. You won't have your V's. You also have a stem wrap guide. We have 3 different sizes of the leaf for these ivy stems. Do I see a question over there?
We do have a question. Kelly asked if you would ever use this in a coastal theme arrangement.
Oh yeah, I mean, honestly, ivy is sort of universal, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's a few themes, maybe not safari, but yeah, I think that ivy's kind of everywhere. We have it.
Someone said they live on the coast and
there's
ivy growing everywhere. So
absolutely, yeah. I think it's just a really beautiful foliage, and I find it sad that everyone sees it as invasive because it's really quite gorgeous. Anyway, I love ivy. I also have your printable, or you can view it online too, your tutorial. And just so you know, I did update it this morning. Yesterday, I was preparing for the class, and I came up with a little bit of a easier way to do the score lines, so I updated it this morning if you want to get that new version. Okay, I'm going to put my tools, organize them a little bit.
Kelly did mention too that she's been using the permanent green shade. I think that's the other one.
Yes, the permanent green shade. Yes,
Yeah.
that one works really well as well. All right, nudge these over here. And of course, I have already cut all of my leaves, and I actually have quite a bit of them prepared. This isn't really a make-along because of the amount of time that you will need to let your leaves dry. But the first thing you'll do is go ahead and cut your leaves, and the quantity that I have for each of these strands, and absolutely they can vary. I have 6 each of the small, and then 4 of the medium and 4 of the large. And the way that I set it up on the cutting file to fit exactly the 12-inch wide by 10-inch piece is if you cut 2 sets of what I prepared, you will have 3 strands. So you'll have enough to make 3 out of those 2 sheets of paper. All right, so I'm going to just do 1 of each today because I have the other ones ready to assemble. And again, you know, just really lining up those leaves so that you have your V. I had a moment where I thought, okay, should I make these 5-part leaves, which totally can. We could have cut them here and then had another at a separate angle, and that might be another version that we do. I know Megan wants to do another version of the plant, so maybe we'll put it there. But after I finished it, I really thought it looks great. Like, you don't have to have that third or the extra wings cut off and glued back on. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll see as we go. All right, so for our small and medium, we will use half wires. So I'll go ahead and cut. So it'll be 3 cut for 6 and 2 cut for 4 if you're doing the whole strand. And for the large, we will be using a full wire. I'll go ahead, and this is how we do all of our leaves. Not all of them, but most of them. This is a very common thing where we'll add the line of glue right onto one side. We're going to drop that wire right onto the line of glue, add another line of glue, and then sandwich. And while I'm doing this, everybody can let us know, what are you all doing this weekend? Anything fun? I think I decided a few minutes ago that I'm going to do an early morning pottery studio visit by myself. I'm going to go. I love it because nobody's there in the morning. So I'm going to go hang out and make some pots, maybe do some glazing tomorrow morning. All right, you can see how I'm using my brayer tool to just really press that in. If you don't have a brayer tool, that's okay. You can just kind of use your fingers like this. All right, so the medium and the small have the half wire. This is why we love this glue, and we love the fine point on this glue.
Let's see. Jamie said they're going to finish 3 hydrangeas.
There we go.
Kelly said 4th of July parade in the morning and family barbecue.
Nice.
Jamie also airplayed it, so now she gets to watch on her big screen in her craft room. So we're happy for her.
Yeah, larger than life. Yay. Yeah, you can see all the details. Great idea, Jamie. Okay.
Barbecue. Lynn says barbecue, fireworks.
Do we have any non-US people here today?
I think so. Let's see. Liz from the UK, of course.
So probably no fireworks for you, Liz.
Yukon.
The next thing I like to do is take my little scissors and just clean up those tips. Oftentimes you'll have that funny little point like this. You just want to make them nice and pointed. And so if you're making 3 strands, you can go ahead and finish up to this level. If you're making just the one, you know, wherever you're at. I'm just doing one at a time because otherwise it would take forever. Right, so as we usually do, we'll throw a piece of paper towel down. And for this, because I really do want the green, I'll show you the final version. It doesn't have a huge difference, but this side does for sure. But it really adds a bit more of the true color of ivy to add this green color. You can tell I love this one because look how I'm getting down to the base there. And you can use whichever brush you prefer. You could use a bigger brush because I'm covering quite a bit. I'm not, you know, I don't mind a little bit of the original color peeking through. I think it adds some variety, makes it look a little more interesting. Probably a larger brush would move this along a bit faster. But we're not in a hurry, right? Okay.
Can you, Nancy has a question. Can you help us understand when you're cutting both sides of the leaf, how do you make sure both halves are the same color when you're using double-sided?
Yeah. If you're cutting, are you cutting by hand, Nancy? Answer that question real quick and then I'll...
Okay.
Are you cutting by hand or are you cutting on the cutting machine? Because I can show you that real quick. It's a really good question. If you're cutting with the cutting machine, it's set up for you already so that you get both halves the same color.
I'll let you know if she
okay.
answers.
We'll circle back to that, but okay. Okay, so I have both sides with the pan pastel and I'll set that aside. And then the next thing we're going to do is Mod Podge. And I have 2 different techniques I was going to show you. The first one is kind of the obvious where we do one side at a time and let it dry. The other is I'm going to show you how I do both sides. Oops, too much there. Oh well. So I do like to work on this mat. This is just a plastic cutting mat, if you can see it. I like to work on these because they're so easy to clean. You just wash them off in the sink and I can use it again and again. I do like to pick a spot. Matthew, I'm kind of over here for a reason. I like to pick a spot where I do my painting of the Mod Podge, and there's a reason. If you paint it here and leave it there and let it dry, all of this will come off with the rest of the leaf and then you have to cut it off, which is not such a happy thing. So you can do this, go ahead and place it elsewhere on your mat. Again, I like to just kind of pick one place. And I'm doing kind of a thinner coating, I guess. It's not really super thick. Okay, so that's version 1. So you can go ahead and paint all of your leaves with the Mod Podge, set them aside, let them dry. I would say a half an hour, 45 minutes is probably enough. And you'll see when they're dry, turn them over, do it again. Or I've done this on some others, and I did this yesterday and it worked great. I like to bring out my little foam piece. This works great, and I use it all over and over. You can see all the holes in it. Whoops, sorry. There we go. I use this all the time. I paint one piece, flip it over. It's going to get slightly soggy and it will bend quite a bit, but that's okay. Kind of bringing it up like this and then just stabbing it. So I make sure nothing's touching, but if it's kind of wrinkly, that's okay. And if you're making a lot of ivy, this is a very efficient way to get all of the Mod Podge done. Again, the only thing you need to be careful of is the edges aren't touching so that they don't dry all curled up.
Okay, back to
Yes.
our question. On a cutting machine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so our files are set up in such a way, and I don't know if you go into our foundation series, which is available for everybody, we actually go through how to set up the files and how you can use them and attach them. So the files are set up so that you have both sides, and you just need to make sure, and what's the word, is it attach that group so that they don't move on the mat, and you'll have all of the leaves set up exactly the way you need. Does that make sense? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when we set it, especially nowadays, I mean, I would say some of the older projects, we weren't quite as good at it because we were still learning, but all of our newer ones, we really are trying to be mindful of how much crepe paper you use, that we set it up the most efficient way, and that it makes it really easy for everybody. So, all right, washing out my brush. Then I already have them dry, so here we are. So you'll pull it out of the foam, and yeah, they'll be kind of wrinkly and curled, and that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and move this too. And if that didn't answer your question, just go ahead and ask more. We can keep going with that. All right, so I'm going to just kind of flatten them out with my fingers so I can work with them. And this is something that I realized when I was doing, getting ready yesterday, that seemed to work really well. And this is what I added into the steps, is I'm taking the corner here, right at the base, to the point, and I'm folding it over. And there's two reasons for that. One is we are going to score right down that line anyway, but two, it makes it so much easier to stem wrap. And we're doing a lot of stem wraps. So I'm going to do that with all of them, just kind of make a little point.
Leah, what kind of Mod Podge were you using? Matte?
Yeah, so you can use matte or gloss. It really doesn't have a whole lot of difference, but yeah, we usually just use the matte. You can make these without the Mod Podge. I just think they look so realistic to have that kind of glossy finish. Because these are, Matthew, you have the right name for it. These are evergreen plants, meaning they're green all year round.
Yeah, they don't like basically turn brown, dry out, and fall off.
Yeah. And oftentimes, I think that type of evergreen plant does have a shinier leaf.
Yeah, it's because it that's like a quality of the leaf that makes it more resilient.
Yeah, there we go. And then I'm going to cut some strips of my espresso crepe paper against the grain, about that size. So you can see here I'm not going to cut because I have plenty, but I'm holding it this direction, and then I just cut some strips. So here we go. We have lots here. And for each of my leaves, I'll go ahead and wrap, I would say about at least 2 inches of the stem. I like to add the glue to my wire. Sometimes if I'm starting, I might add a little bit right to the tip of my crepe paper. I'm going to stretch it out just a bit, get it started here. And then as I wrap, I want to make sure and stretch that crepe paper so it lays down onto my wire really smooth. And I also find that it works much, much better if you make sure that your wire has glue on it. You don't want to have crepe paper wrapped without the glue because it just won't stay as well. You want this to be really smooth. And like I say on some other projects we've been doing, this is such great practice to learn how to stim wrap and to have your wires nice and smooth and even. And if they're not, it's okay. If some of them are lumpy, it's okay. Great place to start to practice. Leah, do I see a question over there?
We were just talking about the foam. Some people are doing a cut pool noodle.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Foam to have them dry.
I'm curious if the pool noodle is soft enough. I haven't tried. I haven't had a pool noodle for a very long time, so it's been a few years. I'm curious if it's soft enough. But yeah, what a great idea. Yeah, the problem with this is it does get loose and crumbles after a while, but since I have it around for floral design, it seems to work pretty well. Oop. Okay, so here's another thing that I figured out yesterday that seemed to work really nicely for doing all the score lines. And that is using my curling tool as kind of a guide. You can use a ruler. It doesn't have to be your curling tool. You can see I'm opening these back up again. I'll start with the big one. It's easier. And I kind of like to do mine upside down like this. So I'm going to take my curling tool and place it exactly where I want the score line. And then just use that. Sometimes you might want to do one in the center. You don't have to. So I'm basically doing a score line for the point and the divot. So here's the divot. So I'll do one here. You can do it on that point if you want to. It's kind of small, so you don't really need to. There's the divot, there's the point. It just felt like this made it a lot easier and a lot more tidy when I was making all of my veins. So the easiest part of the veining are these two larger pieces. Great place to start to practice. So I like to make Ys. So bring one down, curve it a little, make a Y. Bring it down, curve it, make a Y. And probably about 3 on each side. Works really nicely. And the more uneven and less perfect these are, the better. And then I like to go to this next section next. This other half of the second lobe. And then these are a bit more difficult because we're going against the grain. You can go a bit lighter, and again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like if you're a bit squiggly, that's even better. Any questions about adding the score lines? You don't have to press that hard, really. It does a nice job. And then for these smaller lobes, I'll just kind of go right off that center point.
Sort of related. Well, maybe not because you have maybe Mod Podge, but if you typically, I know on a lot of things we don't use Mod Podge, but we use pan pastels. Will the pastels come off on your fingers if you touch them?
Sometimes. It depends on how much you put on. We find that it stays fairly well, but we do recommend if you use a lot of Mod Podge to give it a finish spray with the Krylon UV, and I can show you that if you want to see it. So that would be a recommendation if you're doing the pan pastel. And you know, we don't Mod Podge as much on petals. However, I am doing a tulip this month with Mod Podge petals that's gorgeous. has a lot of pen pastel and a lot and shiny Mod Podge finish. So it depends on the flower, really.
Mm-hmm.
And a tulip is perfect for that. This is actually kind of fun.
We do have another question
Uh-huh.
about our new crepe
Colors.
colors.
I knew it.
Just when we're perhaps going to get them.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
When we hear from the warehouse, or not the warehouse, the manufacturer that it's ready to get picked up, then we'll probably have a schedule on that.
Mm-hmm.
We're crossing our fingers, you know. It's kind of, yeah, I don't know.
And then we do have, well, somebody's asking me to see the colors again. The new colors. Patricia, if I wanted to answer your question, but I just want a little clarification about what your question is about cutting by hand.
You want to read it out loud?
It was just, can you please expand on the question about cutting by hand?
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we covered.
Does she mean the leaves, like how to
Yeah,
flip? Okay.
Maybe the leaves, yeah.
Yeah, I can show a quick demo on how to do that. Luckily, I have the rest of mine scored, so this is the last one. Yeah, one of the things that we like to ensure people, especially if they're new to crepe paper flower making, is that you do not have to have a cutting machine. You don't. Okay, so here's the rest of my leaves are ready. So if you are cutting, I'm going to use this template here. So we have the templates both in black and white and in color, just to make it easier for people who might not want to use color on their printer. And let's see, where did my crepe go? Here it is. So if you're using the template like this and you're just cutting from the roll by hand, well, the first thing you'll want to do is make sure that you line up your grain lines. I probably would start over here and use this for something else, but I don't want to waste, so I'm just going to use it with the fold. You can always iron your crepe paper. So what I would do is go ahead and cut it this way. Oh, it looks like I did not cut this one by hand, so you're going to have to cut one at a time. You can't do the flip method that I often do, so I'd probably make it a bit more narrow. But what you could do that would probably be the easiest for this, and I will tell you I've never done it this way before, but it's just kind of makes the most sense to me at the moment. Matthew, tell me if you think I'm being silly here. If you can get, I think you can get 4 out of each strip, then I would go back and I would face them. So 2 faced and 2 faced. You can cut more than 2 layers at a time. So make sure they're facing each other. And I may have cut that one a bit short. No, it will work. Then I would grab some clips. I don't have any clips with me, but I would grab some of those little tiny clips and clip the template on. I usually like to cut with my smaller scissors. Clip, clip, turn it around. We're just going to pretend I'm clipping. And then just go around. And you know, with just this one set of cuts here, that's my 3rd cut here. So 4 cuts, you'll have 2 leaves, 2 leaf sets. So if I were cutting by hand, this is probably the way I would do it. A lot of times our leaves, we can use half of a piece and then flip it, which I actually have that in the class, in the foundations course, so you can go look at it there. Because there you go. Now you have 2 matching sets. How was that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Back to this. So the next thing we'll do for our leaves is grab your curling tool, and we'll just start to shape the tips of these leaves. And I like to take the wire and just kind of arch it a bit. You want all of your leaves to look a little different. You don't want anything too uniform. You can move through this section fairly quickly. Just a quick little shape. And now I'm going to put my sizes in a pile. So I have 4 large leaves. Let's see, I think, nope, that's a medium. So large. I can tell the large because they have the longer wires. And 6 small.
Megan just joined the chat. And
Oh, hi,
she said,
Megan.
my daughter Emmy is watching from the other room while Leah is teaching you all, and she wanted me to tell you that she says, hi, Leah, you're doing a really good job teaching.
Thank you. They're right out there. Thanks. Hi, Emmy. Are you doing some crafting out there? That's what she was doing earlier. Okay, now I need one of my wires, and we'll go ahead and add some crepe paper to the end, and this will be kind of that little vine that pokes out. I'll show you right here. Can you see that, Jefferson? There. So we have this little vine that comes out beyond. It's an option. You don't have to use this, but it's kind of fun, so I'm adding it. And for this one, I think I'm going to wrap it at least 4 inches, maybe more. I can't remember what I put in the tutorial, but somewhere in that range.
When you iron,
Mm-hmm.
is there a particular setting? Or
I would say like around 400 works really well. Just my only tip is just don't steam it, really. And I've never had it burn. I've never had it cause any issues as long as you don't steam it. Yeah, almost 4 inches. All right, so there's 4 inches. Then I'm going to take my first small, and you can add it anywhere in that section. I like to leave, I would say, at least 1.5 inches of the stem, because we're going to want to move these stems around. I'm going down about 1 inch, and this can vary. But if you want longer stems, then you can, place your leaves further apart, have it more airy. If you want more compact, place them closer together. So here's 3 small. You can see how I'm stacking them right here. That's about the distance. So I'm doing 4 small ones to start. I'm going to move this crepe up just a little bit. Yeah, there's so much you can do with this. Like you can make a garland, you can make an archway over your door. It would be really great for a wedding in multiple uses. You can use it as a runner in the center of your table. So I have 4 of the small, and then I'm going to add 1 medium, just to kind of mix it up a bit, just to add some variety. Is anyone making along? Did anyone finish Mod Podging? Now I'm going back to a small. You can see my wires are starting to run out, which is perfect because at the end we don't want to have a really, really thick vine. We want to kind of keep it a little more similar. So I have my small, put another medium. and then the final small. And another thing too, you can change the quantity of leaves that you put on your vine. You can make them longer, shorter. This is just kind of a general quantity that seemed to make sense. And then I'll finish out my last 2 medium and then add the 4 large. And you can see how I'm adding the glue all the way down the wire. I'm not skipping any glue at all. And now I have my long wires coming in, so that will give me a nice longer stem. And just in time, I was starting to run out. All right, my last one here. This is really fun to assemble. This is where it just starts to come to life. And you know, I'm adding these long stems here. I'll go ahead and cut them so they're all the same length at the end. I'm adding the long stems for the purpose that I think that I will be using them, which is putting them into arrangements. And there's no reason to have leaves all the way down the end because they would just get crumpled and stuffed into the base, where this longer wire will give me something to hold into the actual arrangement, whether I do a hand tied or add it into, you know, foam or whichever method. It gets really fun when we get to the end here. You have to flip it around. Probably makes more sense to go this direction. And I'll finish that off so it's nice and clean. And if you feel like that wire is too thin, you could add another additional wire into, or even an 18 gauge if you want it to be a bit heftier. Just kind of slide it in and cover it as you go. But this will work. This will work for me. All right, so here we are. We have the full strand here. And the next thing I will do is kind of take the tip and then take the base and give it a bit of an arch. Kind of run your finger down, and then we can just start arranging them. And I tend to find, and Matthew, tell me if this is correct, that they go back and forth.
Yeah, alternate.
Alternate, yeah.
Alternate arrangement.
So you can alternate the direction that some can be higher, some can be lower. But from what I remember seeing when I have examined my ivy, I don't have any at my house, I'm kind of surprised, is that if you turn over the branch, it looks like that. Like you see the backside, because they're all sort of facing up towards the sun. Look how gorgeous that is. Wow, love it. I can add that to our little arrangement here. Yeah, and I probably should have gone the other direction too. I guess I can do it. I can just kind of bend it the other way. Because right now they're all kind of leaning the same direction. we'll have this one go the other way like that. Oh, pretty. Love it. All right, it is. We zipped through this pretty quick. What do you think, Leah? Should we?
Maybe show the.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're taking a vote here. We decided to go ahead and show you the new colors. And we're taking a risk by doing this because they have not been shipped yet. The order's in. Everything's looking good, but I don't know what to say. I wish we could order and have it the next day, but that doesn't happen sometimes. Amazon has spoiled us. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so I think I explained this last time, so help me out here, Leah. So just so you know, in order for us, we're a small company. We're a very small company, and in order for us to have our own color palette, we would have to order an enormous amount. So we have to choose what they develop, and we had some influence in some of these colors, as did some other people, but then we had to pick what they chose. So going through what we were offered, these are the colors we thought fit best for what we design and what we do and what you guys would love. And of course, our favorites will be the greens, which we have a kiwi green. Love this. I cannot wait to get this in my hands. We have an emerald green, which that is the color we're going for with that pan pastel. So love having that color. We have this beautiful eucalyptus green, and I already have a couple projects ready for this one. And these are all extra fine. So we are finding that we're using more and more extra fine as we're making our own double-sided extra fine, and double-sided seems to be our sweet spot. We have a buttermilk, so it's a nice, really bright, clear yellow, and a honey, which is a really yummy, sort of rich, a little more dusty. We have a color here we have no idea because we have not seen it, but we thought we'd love it. It's called Marsala. That will be coming. It'll be a surprise for all of us. Vintage pink, which is kind of a cross between pink and a lilac. It's not quite the lilac. And then we have our blueberry. We also added this little truffle brown. Bluebell. Did I call it blueberry? Sorry, bluebell. I'm reading upside down. Truffle, which is kind of a dusty brown. We also have some ideas on what we want to use this for. Then going into the double-sided, there weren't quite as many options on that, but we are going to get this double-sided wisteria, which is similar to the wisteria orchid. Wisteria orchid has the two colors, the double-sided wisteria just the one. Lemon yellow, a nice bright yellow. I wish they had this in extra fine, but nah, not really, because we'd make it double-sided anyway. All right, so lemon yellow, which is the same color on both sides, and we will be bringing back the buttercup canary. Then the last two colors are this really delicious raspberry. It's just a rich red on both sides. I cannot wait to use this for Christmas. And then the cedar pecan. And I'm looking at the monitor. This looks a lot more yellow, but it's a really beautiful, I don't know, I would say neutral brown. It's not so warm and it's not so cool. It's right in the center there, and then a darker on the other side. So that is the new color lineup. And I don't know, all of you put in the positive thoughts, visualize it being on the crate, on the ocean, on the way to us, because I think we can get it here faster by doing that. Why not? Visualize this crepe paper in your hands. How's that?
Visualize it. And if you are on our email list, that will be the place where we let everyone know first that the colors are in stock. So make sure you're on our email list.
Yeah, I know last time we got the two new double-sided colors, I think we sold out within a day. They were gone. So we realized how you all want new colors, and they're coming. Anyway, I hope you love them. I'm really excited about adding these into our repertoire of what we do, along with our pan pastels. I think, we're getting everything pretty well covered. I know some people were asking, they were wanting more of a periwinkle blue, and unfortunately they're not offering. However, we make beautiful periwinkle blues. by adding pen pastel. So, all right, next Friday we are going to be making the clematis flower. So that is part of our masterclass series. If you can join us live, great, love doing it. We're going to be live beforehand and after. It is a pre-film. It's a beautiful flower and it's going to look great in our arrangement. And then we have another 3 coming this month. So I will see you all next Friday.